All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kubernetes SIG Docs meeting. Today is January 9th, 2024. This is the first SIG Docs meeting of 2024. I'm your host today. My name is Ray Lahanam. I'm one of the co-chairs along with Natalie, who's on the call, and Divya as well. So you should be seeing my screen here. A few housekeeping items first. This meeting abides by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which in summary just means to be kind to everyone. This meeting is also being recorded and will be auto-uploaded to YouTube as well. So please be mindful of that as well. We like to first start off with an introduction to any new contributors. So if you're new to SIG Docs, or if this is your first meeting on Zoom, please feel free to go on mute and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Am I audible? This is Aditya.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Hi. This is Aditya Samant. I'm new here. This is my first appearance in the SIG Docs bi-weekly meetings. So happy, first of all, to meet all of you. I'm from India. Currently, I'm not affiliated with any organization. In my previous company, I was a director of engineering in the company called Amdocs. It is an IT company based out of Israel. I have around 17 years of industrial experience. I was managing a team of around 35 people in cloud native R&D, predominantly based on Kubernetes. Back in November, around 2 months back, I decided to quit my job in favor of pursuing something new in the industry, something more hands-on. So right now, I'm just taking the time to upskill in various technologies. I've spent a lot of time in the last few months building my expertise in Kubernetes. Recently completed the CKS certification, so this gave me a chance to spend a lot of time with the Kubernetes documentation. So I was hugely impressed with the quality of the documentation, and that's when I decided that I would like to contribute to this. So
Nice.
I already have 5 PRs which are merged to main, 4 PRs currently under review, and out of which one is a completely new tutorial page. So I'm looking forward to collaborating and contributing. Thanks, everyone. Yeah,
Well, welcome and thank you for your contributions as well.
thank you.
Hi,
All right.
everyone.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Damien Igbe. I'm based in Dallas. I've been part of this group right from, I would say, almost at the beginning, because I was in the OpenStack community. And so I transitioned to Kubernetes and I wanted to help with documentation. Somehow I'm not proud of myself. I've been very, very dormant. But in recent times, I've started to, get involved with the community again. So currently, I run a meetup in Dallas. I think we're somewhere around 2,500 members, so it's a large group. I was in KubeCon, Chicago, so it's kind of my New Year resolution to get more involved. So we'll see how that goes, but glad to come back to meet all of you here.
Nice. Nice to meet you, Damien.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to introduce themselves? All right, I'm going to continue on with the meeting agenda. First off, updates, reminders. This week's PR Wrangler is Tim Bannister with Princess Obube shadowing. And next week is PR Wrangler's Natalie with Mickey Boxall shadowing. The following week is Divya. And this week's issue wrangler is Natalie, and next week's issue wrangler is Deepesh. And the following week's issue wrangler is Sriram. So issue wrangler is a new role for those who are not aware. So that is similar to the PR wrangler, but highly focused on wrangling issues. There are some links in the agenda as well for the PR Wrangler shift and issue Wrangler shifts as well. And if you are new to reviewing or new to SIG Docs, and we do have a shadow program for those who want to shadow PR Wranglers, so just feel free to reach out to one of the co-chairs, myself, Natalie, or Divya. Also, please note if you notice any code of conduct violation as well, we do have a system so you could feel free to reach out by email. It's in the agenda. It's anonymous as well, so feel free to, if you see any code of conduct violations in Slack, GitHub, or anywhere, feel free to reach out. All right, moving on with the agenda. Release 130. It just started yesterday, January 8th. I'm going to see if there's any leads here for the 130 team. Your docs lead is Drew Hagan, comms lead is Kristen Martin, and the release lead is Kat Cosgrove, who I do see on the call here.
Hi.
So, hello. So I'll let the release team folks, if you want to introduce themselves, go ahead and feel free.
Sure. My name is Kat Cosgrove. I'm your release lead this cycle. I was also the docs lead last cycle. I've been around for a little while, since 123. And I have led both docs and comms, so hopefully this will be a relatively smooth release for docs with a release lead who's done both of them. The release cycle officially began yesterday. All of the shadow announcements will go out by Friday. We're doing the shadow selection now, but there is a major change to the way the release team works that is relevant to docs this cycle, and that is that we have replaced the PR ready to review deadline at the end of the release with a docs freeze. So exactly the same way CAP owners have to submit an exception request if they think they're going to miss like the enhancements freeze deadline or the code freeze deadline, they now have to submit an exception request if they're going to miss the final docs deadline. Some of the docs deadlines throughout the cycle have also been like moved earlier up in the cycle to accommodate for this, so that the docs freeze is further away from release day. So we can feel comfortable giving people like, you know, a 3-day extension, though obviously we're going to prefer to keep it to less than that significantly, but it's the exact same email address you send for an exception request for enhancements. It is the same questions and justifications that you have to give. And SIG docs will be looped in on these decisions. So we're not going to unilaterally make a decision about whether or not a particular extension is acceptable. We are going to need SIG docs to help us make that decision. Also, because we don't want to make decisions about docs without your input. So hopefully that makes things a lot easier for you. I expect a little bit of like hiccups with this, doing it for the first time. I expect some people to ignore it and miss the fact that this is a thing that we're doing. So maybe there is a risk that we do have to threaten to pull somebody's enhancement from the release, but hopefully that doesn't happen. You can go to the docs lead, Drew, about any issues you have with this in its actual implementation. He can work on the fly, or you can come to me about it. Either one's fine.
All right. Thank you very much for the update. And
yeah,
thank you very much as well for the new docs freeze deadline as well. So I'm sure that will, Steven, I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if anyone is having issues getting docs from people, feel free to contact SIG leadership. Happy to help with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Release leadership. Just to be clear, SIG release leadership, right?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Steven, I'll take you up on that.
All right. Any other questions, comments for Kat's? One note from Kristen, shadow selection for comms, it's wrapping up, and comm shadows will be notified by the end of the week. All right. First issue on the agenda is cheaper search. So this is from, I think, someone from the Linux Foundation about how the CNCF, how search is, costs have gone quite a bit higher, and we should look into how to implement cheaper search. And there's some examples in the links issue here. Natalie, I saw that you put this on the agenda. If you'd like to introduce this.
Yeah, definitely. So hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. For folks who don't know, I'm one of the co-chairs here. This specific issue has come up just somewhat recently. And it's something that I wanted to bring to the attention of the community because I have a few problems with how it came up. And so firstly, I just want to shout out to Taylor, who's on the call, who joined us, who wears both hats, but I believe in this call will be the CNCF hat wearer today, so that we can chat a little bit more about this issue. So firstly, yes, this issue was kind of popped in, and it was actually brought to my attention because the steering committee was chatting about this in a separate thread, which I've linked further down below, regarding cost and so on. And the reason that it perked my own attention is that because I believe, and I do believe that SIGDocs co-chairs, as we've chatted about this before as well, think that our role as SIGDocs co-chairs is to to actually highlight and kind of be champions for users and contributors in terms of the issues that we need to be pushing upstream or fixing, pushing kind of different contributions to the docs and making docs better for users and contributors. And that's how we look at prioritizing issues. And this issue, and feel free to correct me if you feel like I'm wrong, Taylor, definitely feels like an issue that is a priority for CNCF because it's cost related, but I am not convinced that it's an issue that as SIG Docs leadership, we need to be prioritizing and thus working on by ourselves. And so I wanted to bring this here as a discussion because I very, very firmly believe that CNCF needs to be working in partnership with us on this. And I'd love to propose the following, basically. Firstly, I just want to openly call out that I don't feel like this was ideal, that it came very much as a directive from above as opposed to an invitation to collaborate because CNCF wants to solve a specific problem. It would have been great to have been looped in earlier rather than a random issue dropped that not only affects SIG leadership, but also has implications on the steering committee side. And it would have been really, really great for us having been looped in, and we could have already connected you with, as we have now discovered, a lot of our folks on the Chinese localization who've got a lot of really great ideas about possible kind of fixes here and possible different implementations. But I also wanted to chat about this, and it's a shame that Tim couldn't be here because it feels like leads have kind of become misaligned on this specific issue, and we've got a tech lead kind of going gung-ho with helping to prioritize and working on this, and other leads thinking that this shouldn't be the case. So I'd love for us to chat. And I want to just be very, very clear that we have said for many, many, many months now that we are really lacking on on contributors in SIGDocs. And a lot of the issues that we are prioritizing to try and get contributors working on, we failed a lot in getting a lot of contributors to kind of start working on these things because of two reasons. A, we don't have a consistent group of reviewers and approvers who can constantly look at stuff. And that's something that we're hopefully trying to address now that Ray will have a lot more time, for example, doing a lot more open source work. I'm going to be doing a lot more mentorship of folks to get more contributor base in SIGDocs and more people in reviewer and approver status. And two, we have two tech leads stepping down in 2024. One basically already PRs are kind of like filed already. And we have generally one tech lead who is going to stay on as a approver, being Tim, which is great. And then another who currently does a lot of really great work specifically around our reference docs, which is Qiming, but kind of leaving us tech leader-less at the moment. And so that's another concern that we have in terms of resources here. So I've just chatted a lot there, and I maybe want to invite Taylor to come and give us the CNCF kind of point of view. But what I'm basically trying to kind of put forward here is this needs CNCF driving. We can't give you support without that, basically.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you, Natalie. I think that it's the role of the CNCF to come and to help out. It's to keep the party going. Give all your dirty dishes to the CNCF if there's anything that we can help out on when it comes to contracting things out, theme edits, all of these things. That's the entire reason for the CNCF, is to take away that toil as much as humanly possible, and then to allow folks to contribute, to maintain with as minimal friction as possible. So we're 100% aligned on that front. This came across my desk in a similar way as well. There are some related efforts for reducing costs for the Kubernetes infrastructure costs, and then getting some clouds to pledge more cloud credits, some optimizations around testing and infrastructure releases, etc. So that's likely why the steering committee got brought into this first. And so people are already primed for that issue. So that's kind of what they're seeing and what they're matching some of this to. What happened? So the costs for, as I understand it, the costs for the way that our site search for Kubernetes works right now was around $40 a month, and that skyrocketed to $2,400 a month. So it's a 5,900% increase. Quite a shocking bill to get if you're expecting, to pay only $40 for the pizza. And so that's why it has some folks that are like, oh my goodness. So that's how that came about, was just seeing the bill come in and then realizing that that was quite high. When it comes to a solution for that, that's not something that we've aligned on yet, and that we would love to work with folks within SIGDocs, propose some things. There might be some opportunities to engage with some of the cloud folks. I think we're using Bing search right now. So even contacting and working with Microsoft on that front is something that the CNCF, I think, could help out with, and just, ask around, does it have to be 2,400? Could we figure out some solutions there? I have seen some solutions in China as well, but we have a lot of different contexts to kind of align to on that front, and truly don't want to pass that off to SIGDocs directly. You can absolutely expect CNCF help on this, and then level setting between the CNCF group person, et cetera, that's working on that, and then whatever solution that we decide to move forward with. I do know that Tim has I think it's page search pull request as a work in progress solution that might alleviate this, but yeah, I definitely looking to the community for what's the best solution. Can we all align on that, or just figure out we might not hit 100%, but can we find something that's really close for us, and then work towards that? So hopefully that level sets some things, answers the question as to the why and what has come up with providing more context, and then really wanted to underscore, highlight, and italicize that we're here to help on that front. Definitely don't want to pull anyone from SIGDocs off of what they're working on that front.
Yeah, I think the issue is that well, firstly, I want to say that it's great that any contributor wants to kind of jump in and work on this. What I think can muddy the water a little bit is the fact that if CNCF says that this is a priority for them, then the SIGDocs priorities of what us as leadership say, which is the fact that we've had timeouts with Netlify for over 2 years, the fact that we don't have any seasoned JavaScript people anymore on our major contributors list helping us out with like Doxy upgrades and those kinds of things. Mermaid diagrams are broken. I can think of so many other issues and PRs that I would love to prioritize as a SIG, and that we have tried to, but unfortunately the power that the CNCF has says that we need this, and that gets worked on by people. And I would love the CNCF to understand that that's going to happen in any SIG often. And it's hard for then co-chairs like us and a SIG like us that has suffered from lack of contributors for a long time, and lack of consistent reviewers, and quite frankly, and I'm happy to say this on the recording, suffers from a lack of respect as a SIG in a community, because docs aren't important to everyone. It's really hard to tell people, no, don't work on this, we need you on other stuff. So what I would love to see, Taylor, and I'm happy for us to either discuss this more in a meeting or on the issue itself, is for the CNCF to come up with the plan of, we've done this research and we think this is what's worthwhile. This is what we want to go with, rather than asking the community first, because that is pulling them away from the issues that we've continually tried to highlight as important and what we want them to work on first.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely agree on that front. And then in terms of setting the priority, I fully agree with you there too. It's the purview of SIGDocs to decide what's next. And yeah, just because the CNCF says something, I would argue isn't a good enough reason. And can definitely look into getting you some research on those solutions. That's a great point. More data is always better to work with on that front. But no, great feedback. Thank you.
I have two hands up. I saw Rolf. You had your hand up, and then Stephen.
Oh, that's okay. My question was answered. Thank you.
Okay. Stephen.
So yeah, so I just wanted point out as well, when we're having contribution discussions like about infrastructure, about things that may potentially cost money, I want to highlight that there is a repo called Kubernetes/funding, in which the steering committee gets involved in that. The I think for situations popping up, and part of the reason that I'm here, when situations like this pop up, I would love to see that conversation happen, especially if SIGs do not feel capable of implementing solutions, or are not interested in implementing solutions, or feel that the conversation is coming as a surprise. These conversations can and should happen on the steering level, right? Because we are the part of the group that is imbued with the power to discuss funding decisions for the project, right? So I think in terms of what I would have liked to see is a conversation with steering about the cost changing. There are very few groups within the community in its totality that have the power to make budget decisions on behalf of the community, and steering is the primary group for that.
Thank you. So the takeaway I got from this conversation was that the CNCF to come up with a plan for next steps, to present their research as well.
Yeah, great. And I think Taylor, if it's possible, if yourself as CNCF could figure out what is the channel on top of the issue that we want to communicate a lot of this in, because there are those separate threads happening, just because there are a few folks who are not on the call right now due to being unavailable, or time zones, especially our Chinese folks that work with us, so that everyone can get that same info. That would be really great.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And again, completely valid asks, I would say, in terms of saving time and then helping to align. I think source of truth will probably be that GitHub issue. That's the best thing I can think of. And then we'll have that permalink we can share out. But I definitely want to share that out with the right links within steering, within SIG docs. And if there is anywhere else that makes sense, let me know. I'm more than happy to help get everybody together on the same page.
Yeah, great. And I think I noted this in the notes as well, but like our usual PR workflow of like reviewing and approving, like that's obviously still something that SIG Docs wants to do and be part of too. But really it was like the way that this came about, and also the prioritization of it. And I just want to kind of keep kind of that flag on, we are for users and contributors, and this is a cost thing. So for me, and I believe for our coaches, that actually means that that's not our priority, but it should be CNCF's priority. So yeah.
Full agreement.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks so much for coming to the meeting and chatting about it. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, always hear people say, don't at me, please at me. Love having these conversations. Thank you.
All right. We'll also keep steering up to date as well, since it does involve cost. All right. Any other comments, questions on this topic? All right. Moving on to the next agenda item. So we're going through our annual reviewer approver cleanup. We noticed one of the localizations, Vietnamese does not have a stable set of approvers and reviewers. We should have at least 3 approvers per localization. So for this localization, we have reached out. I think Abby has reached out, correct me if I'm wrong, to the localization team on this.
Yes, I reached out in Slack, and I am just waiting to hear back.
Sounds good. Okay. And then so this is in progress, and as noted on the agenda, based on the outcome, we will just take a look to see if there are any additional approvers for the Vietnamese localization. If not, we will take a look at the next steps if they don't have the required approvers for the localization. All right. Any other comments or questions on the Vietnamese localization lack of approvers?
I just want to say that for any contributor like group, a localization group that feels that they're getting into that same boat of lacking a stable group of minimum 2 to 3 approvers per localization. Please reach out to Abby and Sioko, or any of us SIG docs leads as well, and we can try and help you out in terms of signal boosting to get some more folks involved. We can use various channels that we have through Kubernetes Social, CNCF Social, our own maintainer track docs talks that we have used absolutely, and updates in KubeCon and so on to illuminate the need for contributors. So please get in touch so we can help.
Thank you, Natalie. All right, next agenda topic is from Celeste, like Contributor Summit Hackathon.
Yeah, what's going on? So the reason that I am asking this is because Natalie mentioned it to me offhand a few weeks ago. But quite frankly, my workplace is asking if I am doing this for SIG docs, and I need to tell them yes or no so that I can either go to KubeCon or not go to KubeCon as a result. TLDR, what's happening? What would you like me to plan, and when would you like me to start?
I think for now, I know we do have a room spaced out for the doc sprints. I'm assuming this is the same as a doc sprint, right? Or am I totally wrong?
It's the same. I got the name wrong. Natalie corrected me in the notes.
Yeah, Celeste, I would absolutely recommend that you chat with Abby, who is on the call, who did our last 2 doc sprints as well, and would be happy to chat with you about how she went about that. And especially Abby, if you might have ideas of other areas that we want to be kind of working on. I know we did the AI stuff last time in Chicago. I'm not sure how that went actually. Are you able to give us a rundown?
Yeah, so it was pretty good. We had a good turnout of a lot of people who were primarily just people who are experienced contributors anyway, but we had a really good discussion about that topic and kind of what our thoughts were as a community. And I have put that in our what's it called? The discussion. There it is. The discussion. A summary of that, which I don't have the link handy, but I can send out later. Yes, Celeste, I actually, as we were having this meeting, I wrote a giant note in my notebook of stock sprint for KubeCon and figuring out the topic. So I'm happy to help work on that with you. I am planning to be there as well. So I love running that event and working on that event. I don't have any specific ideas, but I'd love to help chat and help coordinate and all the things. But yeah, it should be just during the contributor summit, which is the 19th. Did we already talk about the dates?
It's the 19th. Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
The first day 0 of the conference in Paris.
Okay.
And once the topic has been defined, we could add it to the SCED and the Contributor Summits events page as well. So we could just feel free to reach out. Both Natalie and I are working on the summit as well.
Yeah, and we're also approvers, I believe, on the website, so we can get that information up pretty soon once that's all defined.
Okay.
I mean, on the
Okay.
contributor website, obviously, not the Kubernetes one, which is what this meeting is all about.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Any comments or questions for Celeste or the doc sprints? All right. Thank you for coming. I'm going to stop the recording. So I find the button.